Dear students, you are welcome in the Education Department at SHAHD Association. Our lesson today is Reflection of Light. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more lessons and don't forget to activate the bell to stay notified. Our objectives in this session are: we will define scattering and reflection of light. We'll explain reflection of light by a plane mirror. We'll explain formation of image by a plane mirror. And finally, we will list the characteristics of the image by a plane mirror. Dear students, in the Explore section, we made a small activity on opaque and transparent bodies. We said that if light strikes a transparent body, then it passes through it. But what happens if light strikes an opaque body? It will not pass through it. It will be reflected back. At the beginning of our session, we will differentiate between two phenomena. The first one is called scattering of light, and the second one is called reflection of light. I will begin by the scattering of light. Scattering of light is when light bounces in all directions. Like in this picture, as you can see, the arrows have no specific direction. The second one is called reflection of light. This one occurs when light bounces in a specific direction, like this picture. In this session, we are only interested in the phenomena of reflection of light. So what happens for light when it hits a plane mirror? The answer will be that it will be reflected back. But in which direction, we will see. Before we can proceed, let's learn some terms. This is how we can symbolize a plane mirror. The ray which strikes the mirror is called the incident ray. Here, it's called as I. The ray which comes out of the mirror is called the reflected ray, IR. The dashed line is called the normal. We use it to draw and specify angles. I is the angle of incidence, which is between the incident ray and the normal. R is the reflection angle. It is between the normal and the reflected ray. The law of reflection states that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. So when we want to draw the reflected ray, we will use this law. Let's see some cases on how can we draw the reflected ray. The first case is when the incident ray strikes the mirror at an angle of incidence of 45 degrees. We draw the incident ray using a protractor after we draw the normal. We measure at 45 degrees. This is how we draw the incident ray. So according to the law of reflection, the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. Now, we draw a 45 degrees using a protractor starting from the normal, and we draw this line. This is the reflected ray. The second case is when the incident ray hits the mirror at a 0 degree of angle of incidence. According to the law of reflection, the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. So R, which is the angle of reflection, in this case will be 0 degrees, and it will be reflected normally on the incident ray. Here, don't forget to put the arrows to specify the direction of each ray. Now, we will see how can we draw the image A prime B prime of the object AB. This is the mirror. Behind the mirror, we have the object AB. So to draw the image A prime B prime, we will start by the point B. We will draw the image of the point B. To do that, we have to take from B two rays and we have to draw the corresponding reflected rays. So the first one, we have to take from B a ray at an angle of incidence of 0 degrees. It will be reflected at 0 degrees because, as we said, the law of reflection states that the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. So the reflected ray will be reflected along the incident ray. This is the first ray. A second ray, we have to take an incident ray at an angle of incidence of 30 degrees. So according to the law of reflection, the angle of reflection will be also 30 degrees because they have to be equal. This is the reflected ray. Now we have to take the prolongation of the two reflected rays and they should meet in the point B prime, which is the image of B. The final step states that we have to take the orthogonal projection from point B on this horizontal line, and when it meets it, this is the point A prime, the image of A. So as a whole, A prime B prime is the image of AB. After drawing the image of the object, we should now specify the characteristics of this image. The first one states that the size of the object should be equal to the size of the image. They should measure the same value. The distance of the object from the mirror, it should be equal to the distance of the image from the mirror. They should also measure the same value. The final one, the image A prime B prime, it is called virtual because it's formed by the prolongation of the two reflected rays. In this session, what we talked today. First, we stated the difference between scattering of light and reflection of light. Second, we stated the law of reflection and we saw how can we draw the reflected ray using the law of reflection. We used law of reflection to draw the image of an object. Finally, we stated the characteristics of the image. Thanks for watching. If you like this lesson, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more. And don't forget to click the bell to get all updates.